LeBron James's absence from a trivial game against the Spurs revealed a much bigger strategy. Why does the league seem to be orchestrating the silencing of one of basketball's greatest names right when new rules come into effect? While you were watching Lakers versus Spurs on Tuesday the 10th, something was happening behind the scenes. Something that goes far beyond simple medical precaution. Something that could redefine the NBA's future and how we view the legacy of its greatest stars. What you're about to discover will completely change your perspective on strategic absences, the control of sports narratives, and the true power the league wields over its stars. Tuesday night, February 10th, seemed like just another Lakers game. LeBron James rested. Nothing extraordinary, right? After all, he's 41 years old. Makes sense to rest in less important games. But wait a moment. Behind the medical precaution and minute management, there's a much more complex game being played. A game where the rules aren't written on the court but in the league's corridors. Let's look at the facts. LeBron sat out. The official statement was generic, almost rehearsed. Load management. They said, rest protocol for veterans. They repeated, but here's what they don't tell you as easily. Each absence is a calculated move on a much larger chessboard. And LeBron James, the king, is being systematically removed from the most important plays of this game. Think with me, when was the last time a LeBron absence generated so much silence from traditional sports media? When was the last time the narrative was so convenient? The answer will surprise you, and it'll make you question everything you thought you knew about how the NBA operates behind the scenes. Let's be fair for a moment. At 41 years old, LeBron James has an exemplary history of taking care of his body. He's invested millions in recovery, cutting-edge treatments, latest technology. The sciatic nerve injury he suffered this 2025-26 season is real, documented, painful. Anyone who's had sciatica issues knows how debilitating it can be. And here's the perfect argument. Back-to-backs are career killers for veterans. Science is on the side of precaution. Marcus Smart was rested. DeAndre Ayton sat out. Austin Reeves had his minutes controlled. Even Luka Doncic at just 26 has received similar treatment in specific situations. So what's the problem with resting LeBron? On the surface? None. But let's peel back that superficial layer and see what's really happening. Back-to-backs are the perfect pretext. They're the excuse nobody can question without seeming insensitive or ignorant about sports health. It's the ideal smokescreen, because while we all nod our heads agreeing that yes, it makes sense to rest a 41-year-old veteran, there's a silent counter running, a counter that the NBA implemented very carefully. A counter that's about to disqualify LeBron from something very important. And the genius of this strategy lies precisely in using LeBron's real age and injuries as the perfect weapon against him. Think about it. How do you argue against legitimate medical care? How do you question precautions that make sense on paper? You can't. And that's exactly why it works so perfectly. Here's where things get really interesting. By missing the Spurs game, LeBron James reached his 18th absence of the season. 18 games. Might not seem like much in an 82-game season, right? Wrong. Because there's a number in the NBA that changed everything. A number that was carefully chosen, debated, and implemented. 65. The NBA's new rule requires 65 games played for a player to be eligible for individual awards. MVP. All NBA selections. All the awards that define legacies, that go down in history, that are cited when we compare generations. Let's do the math together. 82 games in a regular season, minus the 18 LeBron has already missed. That leaves 64 possible games. 64. One game less than the required minimum. But wait, you might argue, the season's not over. He might not miss any more games. And I respond, do you really believe that a 41-year-old player with a sciatic injury on a team that probably won't compete for the title this year won't be rested in any other game until the end of the season? This isn't coincidence. This is geometry. This is surgical precision. And here's the masterstroke. If LeBron is rested for just one more game, for any reason, another back-to-back, a precaution, minor discomfort, he'll be automatically disqualified from all individual awards for the season. All his performance, all his statistics, all the brilliant moments he can still produce this season simply won't count for the NBA's official history. And the diabolical beauty of it, nobody can directly blame the league. After all, it's just necessary medical care, right? Now let's connect all the dots. The piece of resting a star hides the war behind the NBA's narrative. The 65 games aren't a rule about health. They never were. They're a narrative control tool, an elegant way to decide who enters history and who stays out, all while keeping hands seemingly clean. Think about the power this represents. The league can effectively silence any veteran player, use their own injuries and age against them, and do it all under the cloak of health concerns. LeBron James is being systematically removed from the conversation about the season's best. Not because he's not good enough, not because his statistics don't impress, but because an arbitrary number, 65, has been transformed into a bureaucratic guillotine. And here's the cruel irony. LeBron built his career on durability, on being present, on being the guy who shows up for the big occasions. And now, at 41, when his absences are finally justifiable, they're used as the perfect weapon to erase him from the official narrative. The league is redefining the pantheon of the chosen, and it's doing this under the guise of medical care. The king isn't being dethroned on the court, he's being silenced by bureaucracy. By the cold rule of a number that seems reasonable on the surface, but functions as censorship when strategically applied. So I leave you with these questions. Is this 65-game rule really about protecting players' health? Or is it about controlling who has the power to shape the league's narrative? Are we witnessing legitimate medical care, or a sophisticated form of erasing inconvenient players from official history? And the most important question of all, if they can do this to LeBron James, what's stopping them from doing it to any other player who threatens the narrative they want to tell? Leave your comment below, say what you really think, join this investigation, because if there's one thing the NBA can't control, it's the collective memory of the fans, and maybe it's time we started writing our own narrative.